Good morning, everyone, and a warm welcome to the celebration of the World Day for Cultural Diversity for Dialogue and Development. I am Pooja Kaushik, Director, Swami Vivekananda Cultural Center, and I'm very happy and honored that we are able to celebrate this important day today in collaboration with the UNESCO office here in Brazil. The Day for Cultural Diversity is definitely of significance to the Cultural Center and the Consulate, because the main role of the Cultural Center is really to build the cultural ties here between India and Brazil. So the celebration of this day was, of course, very important for us. And to be able to celebrate this day with UNESCO, it really adds value to it. Through the celebrations, I think this is just a small attempt to really show how India and Brazil have been collaborating, and how the cultural ties have grown closer in the last couple of years. Of course, since the time the embassy has opened here in Brazil, the consulate, and also the cultural center. I think all the three wings have played an extremely important role, not just to build up the political ties or the economic relations, but I think cultural relations also through its various activities that we are doing, or through the festivals of India, etc., that have been celebrated here. So I think these smaller attempts which have been made in the recent past, or over the years, has really helped to build these cultural ties, and also created areas for intercultural dialogue. So I think today we are just going to celebrate that, and we will be having a few talks. We have with us the cultural coordinator of UNESCO. We also have with us our the artists from Brazil who have in the past been to India, traveled to India, and who've been working with the Indian artists as well. We'll go through that, and I think as the event proceeds, we'll be sharing more details about it. But let's start with the official opening of the event. For that, I would we have with us our Honorable Ambassador of India to Brazil, Mr. Suresh Reddy. Mr. Reddy assumed charge as the Ambassador of India to the Federative Republic of Brazil on the 13th of September 2020. He's had a distinguished career since he joined the Indian Foreign Service in 1991. Prior to coming to Brasilia, he has served as Additional Secretary coordinating relations with Europe and Central Asia, and was earlier SWAS Sherpa to G20, BRICS, and IPSA. He has also served in Cairo, Muscat, Abu Dhabi, and Islamabad, and later as India's ambassador to Iraq and ASEAN. So we're fortunate that Sir has kindly taken out time from his schedule and joined us for this event today. So I would now invite Ambassador Suresh Reddy to kindly give the opening remarks.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Pooja. As you said, as the embassy, the consulate, and the cultural center, we all are essentially here to promote our relations between India and Brazil. But the most important part of this engagement is, I believe, in the field of culture.
Muito obrigada a todos, ao Centro Cultural, Senhora Pushpa. No caso, o consulado, tanto o consulado como o Centro Cultural, tem feito um trabalho muito bom em mostrar a cultura indiana, né? E esse é o trabalho que eles principal, de conectar a cultura indiana com o Brasil.
Especially for India and Brazil, I think it is a very exciting area of engagement, because we are two countries with a very rich tradition, with a very rich culture. And importantly, we are two countries with a large diversity in our culture.
Especialmente para países como o Brasil e a Índia, é muito importante ter esse envolvimento, né, com a cultura, porque são dois países muito grandes em tamanhos, mas também dois países com culturas muito ricas.
I believe when we talk of cultural diversity, it is India and Brazil, which are really the outstanding examples of this cultural diversity. We are two countries which are truly a melting pot of cultures.
Eu acredito muito que quando se fala de diversidade cultural, os dois maiores exemplos disso é o Brasil e a Índia, porque são dois países com culturas muito diversas dentro deles mesmos. Então, a cultura desses países é muito importante para o resto do mundo.
Our countries are defined by the diversity of the people, the diversity of the culture, the diversity also of the languages. It also is reflected in the cuisines, in the festivals, in the various art forms, music and dance.
Nossos países são muito diversos, não só na cultura em si, mas na linguagem, né, na individualidade das pessoas, na cultura culinária, na cultura de música, nos seus prejeitos musicais, em todas essas áreas.
Hence, I like to compliment again the Cultural Center and Director of Puja for organizing this event, and thank Ms. Isabella of UNESCO for joining us, as also Ms. Bianca and Julio for joining us today in the evening.
Por isso, eu gostaria de agradecer novamente ao Centro Cultural, à senhora Puja, por organizar um evento desse tipo, a senhora Isabela da UNESCO por estar participando, assim como também a Bianca e o Júlio, que também vão fazer uma pequena apresentação.
As human beings, we introduce ourselves to each other through different and large number of characteristics, such as the race, politics, religion, and language, and host of other numerous characteristics.
Como seres humanos, a gente se apresenta com diversas características. A gente se apresenta pela raça, pelo nosso direcionamento político, a religião, nossos gostos pessoais e diversas outras características.
At the same time, it is this difference which gives us our space, which gives us our identity in this world. And hence, it is important that we also celebrate these differences, the diversity in the culture.
Mas, ao mesmo tempo, são essas diferenças, essas pequenas diferenças que cada pessoa tem que fazem com que a diversidade seja tão grande. Então, a gente tem que celebrar a diversidade das pessoas, as particularidades das pessoas, para que isso se torne também um ambiente cultural.
The event being held today is especially timely because the pandemic has shown that it's a global challenge, a common challenge, and importantly, that despite the diversity of humanity, all of us are in it together.
E esse evento sendo realizado hoje é de grande importância, porque o mundo que vivemos hoje com uma pandemia só tornou ainda mais importante olhar para as diversidades, mas não deixar essas diversidades nos separarem, né? Usar a diversidade das pessoas para nos unir.
Globalization has been wonderful. It has helped to appreciate the differences, and at the same time, it has also exacerbated, has increased the differences at the same time.
A globalização é algo muito bom, e foi muito importante porque, ao mesmo tempo que aproximou as pessoas, apesar das diversidades, ela também aumentou a diversidade das pessoas, aumentou as particularidades de cada pessoa.
Majority of the global conflicts today, both within the societies and outside, have a cultural dimension. And hence it is important that we bridge this gap between cultures for peace, stability, and development.
Os conflitos mundiais que a gente tem hoje são quase todos multiculturais, né? Então, é importante que a gente reconheça essas culturas, reconheça a diversidade dos povos, respeite, para que a gente possa cumprir com esse gap, né? Essa lacuna que foi deixada entre as pessoas para que a gente possa alcançar a paz, a justiça e a igualdade.
Cultural diversity is a foundation of social infrastructure, and it is the means of leading a more fulfilling intellectual, emotional, and spiritual life.
A diversidade cultural é a fundação, né, da humanidade como a gente conhece, das pessoas. E é muito importante que a gente reconheça isso para ter uma sociedade mais comprometida, mais fulfilling, no caso, seria mais cheia de... Desculpa. Mais solidária um com o outro.
I'm glad that we have UNESCO represented with us today. In 2001, UNESCO adopted the Universal Declaration on Cultural Diversity. And in 2002, the United Nations General Assembly adopted the resolution on the World Day for Cultural Diversity for Dialogue and Development.
É muito importante ter a UNESCO aqui com a gente, pois em 2001 eles lançaram uma declaração da ONU, né, sobre diversidade cultural, e também a Assembleia Geral também lançou um pequeno protocolo, né, sobre impactando também nessa questão de diversidade cultural e proteção da cultura.
I'm also glad to note that the United Nations has declared this year as the International Year of Creative Economy for Sustainable Development.
Eu também fico muito feliz de saber que esse ano a Nações Unidas, né, decidiu declarar esse ano como Ano Internacional do Desenvolvimento Econômico, de uma forma igualitária, né, e o que é muito representativo.
With this, I'm looking forward to listening to the other speakers. And again, my good wishes for a successful discussion today. Thank you.
Mais uma vez, eu estou muito feliz e animado para escutar os speakers, né, os oradores que vão falar hoje, e desejo sucesso a todos vocês.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your remarks. We'll now proceed with today's event. Director General, ICCR, Indian Council for Cultural Relations, was supposed to join us today for delivering the keynote address. However, due to, I think, the present circumstances in India, he can't really join us. But he has sent us a video message congratulating everyone on the occasion of the World Culture Day, and also sharing his remarks on how he feels that, culture is really important for building up, for the ties between with other countries. So Indian Council for Cultural Relations, for those of you who are not aware, is the apex body for handling the cultural ties of India with the foreign countries or with the countries abroad. The Swami Vivekananda Cultural Center is one of the offices of Indian Council for Cultural Relations, and similarly, such cultural centers have been set up, in 37 countries. Where ICCR plays a very important role in in building the cultural ties through sending troops or setting up chairs for education, offering scholarships, these centers, of course, where the classes are offered, to the students. So yes, that I would say that ICCR is actually the main body which is doing the cultural promotion or doing the cultural activities across the globe for India. Let's hear the video message from Honorable Director General, Mr. Dinesh Patnaik, and then we go ahead with the further activities.
Namaskar. I am delighted to be participating in the celebration of World Culture Day 2021, being held by the Swami Vivekananda Cultural Center in Sao Paulo. This is a great initiative, and I'm especially delighted because this event is happening in Brazil, one of my favorite countries in the world and a close friend and partner of India. But most important, because we are both large multicultural and diverse countries with a very long history of a strong and large cultural heritage. So it's very important that on this day, on World Culture Day, both our countries are getting together to celebrate it in a big way. And especially today, when the world is reeling under the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, we have understood the value of culture. People say, what is culture? Culture defines who we are and what we aspire to be. Our habits, our way of living, the way we do things around us. And what is most important? Culture is that essence which separates us from animals, which separates us from being completely lost in nature. And during this time of COVID-19, when we are all cooped at home and having to quarantine ourselves, we understand how important culture is in our world. But it's not just culture, because culture is part of what we grew up in. What is important in the world is the diversity of culture. In fact, today is not just World Culture Day, it is World Culture Diversity Day. And this is important because the world has an amazing diversity of culture. And this amazing diversity of culture is what we are celebrating and what we need to celebrate all the time. And culture, if we are not careful, will fade away, will deteriorate. And when does it fade away and deteriorate? When it becomes stagnant. Like any pond or pool, unless the water flows, the water becomes stagnant and it becomes putrid. Culture similarly will fade away if it is stagnant. And it is so the best way of preserving culture is in sharing culture, is in getting people across the world to share things. By sharing, we not only give a boost to our own culture, but we also learn to look at the world through the eyes of other people, other societies. We see how the world sees us and we see the world with a different viewpoint. This is how we bring people together. And for that, we need to have more collaborations, more joint productions, more joint performances by musicians, by dancers, by artists, by theatre people, by all that are involved in the cultural field. And these collaboration, these joint performances, these joint productions will not only help us in understanding the amazing diversity of the world, but will also open up new vistas, new genres, new way of looking at music, new paths that we follow in doing culture, new avenues of culture. All these things will open up. Suddenly you will have flamenco dance and Kathak dance. You will have Latino music and Indian music. You have Latin American art and Indian art. You have a different efflorescence of culture that will take place around the world. Because this is important, because what kind of a world are we looking at after the pandemic is over? When the pandemic is over, and right now we are all trying to protect ourselves, save ourselves. But when the world is over, when the pandemic is over, what kind of a world are we looking for? An aggressive, combative world where everybody is fighting with each other? Or a world full of laughter, joy, happiness and color that only culture can bring? And culture through collaboration with countries across the world. We in the Indian Council of Cultural Relations have always celebrated the World Culture Diversity Day through different ways. In the last few years, we have set up the Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyaya lecture series, which looks at different aspects of the soft power of India, of the cultural heritage of India. We have addressed issues of Sanskrit, of Ayurveda, of yoga, of music, dance, etc. And this year, on World Culture Day, we are looking at cuisine. Cuisine is something which pervades every society. And India is a home to 1 million kitchens. There are 1 million kitchens, we talk about billion kitchens, you name it. Every household has a different way of doing things. There is a variety and depth in Indian cuisine which is amazing. And this, we want to bring it out. And I can say with pride today that probably there is no cuisine in the world which is as varied, as diverse, and as global in its presence as Indian cuisine. And we in ICCR are planning to take these values, this strength of our cuisine, these flavors of the Indian cuisine across the world. We have a lot of plans in mind. if you watch the webinar, you will see what all is happening. There'll be a discussion in this webinar entitled Insights into Indian Cuisine, and we will be discussing various aspects of Indian cuisine and also what we are going to do in the future. Viewers in Brazil and viewers across the world will be able to watch it later after the show, and we will give you all the indications of where to watch it. But before I finish, I would like to wish the Swami Vivekananda Cultural Center in Sao Paulo all the best in the celebrations of World Culture Day. This is an important occasion, and I wish all participants good wishes, and I hope that all of us are able to see and enjoy these diversity of the culture of India and Brazil. They are going to show you a small glimpse of what this cultural diversity is. I wish all success to these celebrations, and good night. Namaskar.
So that was Director General ICCR, Mr. Dinesh Patnaik. He very rightly said that culture actually defines who we are. And this day, I think today, is very important for us from that point of view, really. And we're also glad that, to celebrate this important day, we have, the representative from UNESCO office here with us today. UNESCO has, as we all know, that UNESCO has played a very important role in, in building, in streamlining the things as far as, the promotion of the cultural diversity is really concerned. Ms. Isabel, who is the cultural coordinator from the UNESCO office, Brazil, will be sharing more details about the various activities that UNESCO has been doing in the last couple of years, for the celebration and for the promotion of the cultural diversity across the globe. Honorable Ambassador also mentioned in his address that, in 2001, how UNESCO took a lead, and that was the first time really that steps were taken to understand and to talk about cultural diversity, and initiatives were taken to promote it. I think let's first invite Ms. Isabel to kindly share her views about what UNESCO's role has been in the promotion of cultural diversity. So Ms. Isabel De Paula is the cultural coordinator at UNESCO in Brazil, where she has been working for the last 18 years. So she has, I think she's given a very important time of her life to UNESCO and to the promotion of the cultural in the cultural sector. She's graduated in social communications and has a master's degree in development society and international cooperation from the Center of Advanced Multidisciplinary Studies at the University of Brasilia, and a postgraduate degree in management and cultural policy from the University of Girona from Spain. Today, she will be she'll be sharing the role of UNESCO in the last couple of years through the different proclamations that have been taken out in the promotion of the cultural diversity. So let's invite Ms. Isabel.
Thank you, Pooja. Bom dia a todos e todas. Vou falar em português. Meus cumprimentos ao embaixador da Índia no Brasil, senhor Suresh Reddy, e ao diretor do Conselho Indiano para Relações Culturais, Dinesh Patnaik. E meu agradecimento aqui muito especial à senhora Pooja, do Centro Cultural, por essa iniciativa e pela colaboração conosco da Unesco. Em nome da diretora e representante da Unesco no Brasil, a senhora Marlova Noleto, eu quero agradecer à Embaixada da Índia por esse evento, por essa oportunidade de nós falarmos da importância do Dia da Diversidade Cultural e também sobre o trabalho desenvolvido pela Unesco para a promoção da diversidade cultural. É uma grande satisfação realmente celebrar essa data em parceria com a Embaixada da Índia, que é um grande parceiro da Unesco aqui no Brasil. e no diálogo intercultural, né? Brasil e Índia são 2 países irmãos, como disse o embaixador, com culturas muito diversas, mas que dialogam muito bem e se somam, né, nesse esforço de cooperação entre os povos e as nações. Bom, nesse dia 21 de maio, eu acho que é importante nós falarmos que o Dia Mundial da Diversidade Cultural para o Diálogo e o Desenvolvimento, ele está sendo celebrado pela Assembleia Geral da ONU, em parceria com a Unesco, em Nova York, num evento para refletir sobre os aspectos resilientes e transformadores da cultura, né? Refletir sobre a força aceleradora da cultura para a implementação dos Objetivos de Desenvolvimento Sustentável da Agenda 2030. E também tratar sobre os desafios que as indústrias culturais e criativas estão enfrentando e que foram muito expostos e exacerbados pela crise da Covid-19. Né? Esse evento de Nova York, criado, né, para celebrar o Dia Mundial, ele deve trazer considerações importantes sobre as respostas políticas necessárias para a superação dessa crise nos setores criativos e culturais, e também destacar a relação entre a cultura, a relevância da cultura na implementação dos ODS no contexto atual, a necessidade de novas parcerias e adaptações das indústrias culturais e criativas. Bom, mas as celebrações do Dia Mundial da Diversidade Cultural para o Diálogo e o Desenvolvimento, elas renovam a cada ano a necessidade de nós trabalharmos em prol da preservação da riqueza cultural de cada uma das nações do mundo, né? Sem esquecermos de estabelecer um diálogo intercultural que esteja aliado com o compromisso com a paz e o desenvolvimento sustentável da comunidade global como um todo. Então, é um tema assim, muito importante, a diversidade, a preservação da diversidade e também o compromisso com a paz e o desenvolvimento. Essa data, esse dia, ele foi criado pela Assembleia das Nações Unidas em 2002 e representou um marco após a adoção da Declaração Universal sobre a Diversidade Cultural de 2001, mencionada tanto pelo nosso querido embaixador como pela Pooja. Essa declaração, ela trouxe muitos avanços. Além de um conceito mais amplo da cultura, ela destaca exatamente o respeito, né, da diversidade das culturas, da tolerância, do diálogo e da cooperação, num clima de confiança e entendimento mútuos, que estão entre as melhores garantias da paz e da segurança internacionais. A declaração ela também reconhece a necessidade de se aumentar o potencial da cultura como meio de alcançar a prosperidade, o desenvolvimento sustentável e a coexistência pacífica global. E em seu artigo 1º, ela afirma que a diversidade cultural é um patrimônio comum da humanidade. Quanto maior diversidade cultural nós temos, mais rico é esse patrimônio comum de todas as nações, de todos os povos, né? As mensagens contidas no Dia Mundial da Diversidade ganharam nova amplitude quando a ONU estabeleceu os 17 Objetivos de Desenvolvimento Sustentável da Agenda 2030, já que os ODS eles podem ser alcançados com base no potencial criativo das diversas culturas do mundo. Além disso, esse diálogo contínuo possibilita que os integrantes da sociedade possam se beneficiar de um desenvolvimento mais sustentável. Nesse sentido, o dia 21 de maio ele converte-se para todos aqueles que trabalham com a cultura e por viés diversos, transversais, de imensa riqueza e valor para os povos, em uma oportunidade de celebração, sem dúvida, mas principalmente de ressignificação dos múltiplos fazeres culturais. Hoje, aqui nessa manhã, nós vemos a cultura por sua materialidade, sua imaterialidade. Foram feitas menções pelo representante que falou da Índia, essa diversidade das expressões culturais e a capacidade de se criar um diálogo efetivo e também fortalecer as potencialidades econômicas que a cultura tem realmente um forte papel também, não é mesmo? E no que se refere ao trabalho da Unesco ao redor do mundo, e tanto na conservação de patrimônios culturais, materiais, imateriais ou naturais, ou mesmo na questão do cumprimento das metas e dos objetivos da Agenda 2030, é possível, por meio de uma série de instrumentos com os quais nós trabalhamos, legitimar ainda mais as vozes que atuam em defesa da proteção de bens culturais e da promoção da diversidade. Por entender que a diversidade cultural é parte primordial da essência da humanidade e que constitui um patrimônio, um bem comum a ser preservado e valorizado, a Unesco assinou em 2005 a Convenção sobre a Proteção e a Promoção da Diversidade das Expressões Culturais, a conhecida Convenção da Diversidade Cultural, que reconhece que a cultura ela assume formas diversas ao longo do tempo, se manifestando na originalidade, na pluralidade das identidades e das expressões culturais dos diferentes povos que constituíram e que constituem hoje a comunidade global. Todos os anos, esse Dia Mundial da Diversidade Cultural para o Diálogo e Desenvolvimento nos leva a uma reflexão diferente. O tema central é um só, o convite à celebração também, mas é preciso estarmos atentos àquilo que de mais urgente nos toca sobre o tema da diversidade cultural, que não é um tema estático. A diversidade cultural ela é dinâmica, nós precisamos preservá-la e promovê-la, mas ela tem a sua dinâmica. Nesse ano, aí, a exemplo do que está sendo feito hoje em Nova York, nessa celebração, nós acreditamos que devemos comemorar a diversidade cultural, lembrando a enorme capacidade de resiliência do setor de cultura diante de um dos períodos mais difíceis enfrentados por artistas, por produtores culturais ou outros profissionais da área. No último dia 15 de abril, que foi o Dia Mundial da Arte, a Unesco no Brasil promoveu um webinar, Resiliart Brasil, para comemorar um ano do movimento global Resiliart e lançar internacionalmente uma pesquisa feita no Brasil sobre os impactos da pandemia da Covid-19 nos setores cultural e criativo no Brasil. E, na ocasião, nós reunimos artistas, pesquisadores, autoridades do poder público, profissionais de cultura, para discutir não só os impactos e os desafios, mas também saídas criativas, inovadoras, para os artistas e profissionais de cultura que hoje se encontram sem as mesmas condições de produzir e muitos com grandes dificuldades de gerar renda durante a pandemia. Essa pesquisa que nós realizamos aqui no Brasil, com uma parceria com o SESC, com a Universidade de São Paulo, com o Fórum Nacional dos Secretários e Dirigentes Estaduais de Cultura, ela fez um panorama muito interessante que nos deu uma boa visão do que está acontecendo no país. Então, foi uma contribuição importante da Unesco nesse momento da pandemia para garantir a cultura e a diversidade cultural. Essa pesquisa, por exemplo, revelou que 44% das organizações demitiram a totalidade dos colaboradores no Brasil. As contratações de serviços de terceiro caíram 43% de março a abril do ano passado. Entre maio e julho, aumentou o percentual para 49%. E o cenário da pandemia não tem melhorado assim de forma igualitária em todos os lugares do mundo. E, infelizmente, acho que nesse caso, tanto o Brasil quanto a Índia ainda enfrentam momentos muito duros de emergência sanitária, né? E isso está afetando a cultura, está afetando nossos artistas e trabalhadores culturais, né? Então, precisamos de nos esforçar aqui, Brasil e Índia, para apoiar essas pessoas, esses artistas. Mas, no entanto, né, para finalizar aqui, eu gostaria de dizer que é exatamente nesse momento de desafio que a diversidade cultural se faz mais necessária. É que é importante ainda fortalecermos mais, e é isso que nós estamos fazendo aqui nessa parceria tão bonita entre a Unesco no Brasil e a Embaixada, né? Visões de mundos distintos, novas miríades, múltiplas vozes, que nos darão a perspectiva do quão valorosos são os bens culturais. A cultura nos conecta enquanto indivíduos e também enquanto sociedade. A interconexão criada pela cultura, pelas expressões culturais presentes em todo o mundo, tem o poder de tornar as comunidades mais globais, mais inclusivas e mais unidas. E que eu desejo que esse 21 de maio de 2021 nos permita refletir sobre o valor da diversidade de todas as culturas presentes no mundo e possa nos dar ainda maior força para sustentar nosso diálogo e garantir o desenvolvimento das nações durante e na pós-pandemia. Gostaria de, mais uma vez, agradecer e parabenizar por essa bela iniciativa. Salve a diversidade cultural. Muito obrigada.
Thank you, Ms. Isabel. I think, yes, indeed, UNESCO has played a very important role in the promotion of cultural diversity, especially through the implementation of the Convention of the Protection and the Promotion of Diversity of Cultural Expressions in 2005. That's a very important convention which is really working towards the promotion of the cultural diversity. And we really hope that once the pandemic is over, as the Director General ICCR also mentioned, we really need to see how the world is going to progress and how, what sort of a situation we are in. I think last week we had a celebration of the International Museum Day, and I think that's a concern for people from the creative field, really, that how things are going to be once the pandemic is over. But for now, let's just pray that the pandemic gets over soon and we're able to get back to our normal lives. So talking about the pandemic, I think just when the pandemic started, our group from Brazil was in India. They'd gone to India to perform at I think the jazz festival, at the International Jazz Festival in Kolkata, and again at the Jaipur Jazz and Blue Festival in December 2020. In December 2019, 2020, the pandemic was already here. And so Bianca and Julio, who are our special guests for today, they are the ones whom were in India, and they performed on 2 occasions, one under the ICCR banner, and at the Jaipur Blue Festival, again, they performed. Both of them, I think, are connected to India in some way or the other, and they have been, they've been to India, they've performed in India. They are now collaborating with many artists from India, especially during this time of pandemic. They have done, a series on collaborating with the Indian artists, people performing from India and they performing from here, and they've come up with albums, and they've come up with online videos, which we'll be sharing through this event also. But yes, both of them, Bianca Gismonti and Giulio, both have been doing some important seminal work, in the field of cultural collaborations between India and Brazil. So Bianca, she was born in a family of musicians, and I think her connect with the Hindustani classical music really comes from her father, who has who's performed with the maestro Pandit Hari Prasad Chaurasia, who's a flute player. And I think her inclination towards music and her connection with music really started at a very early age, and since then she has been experimenting with music and performing at various international national festivals. She's traveled across on international tours to Europe, Asia, South America, and she's been performing across actually. Her partner Giulio, who's not just her partner in her musical performances, but also her life partner, her husband Giulio, is a talented drummer and a percussionist. And Giulio has been playing tabla for a very long time, and he's been trained under Indian musicians. He's worked with many Indian musicians. He's traveled to India on several occasions, and though his expertise is being a drummer, he's studied internationally. He's been to London, he's been to New York, and he's studied under some famous artists. But yes, his connection with India is because he plays tabla, and he's worked with many Indian artists and also trained under the Indian artists as well. Just to name a few, he's performed with Indian artists like G.A. Sachadev, Pandit Mukesh Desai, and Sri Hanuman. So we have both Giulio and Bianca with us today, and first they'll be sharing their experiences with us about their travel to India and their connection with India. And then we'll hear some of their performances which they've done with the Indian artists. So we'll see how both of them have collaborated with our Indian artists and have been trying to promote the Brazilian art in India, and again the Indian art here in Brazil. So I really feel happy to have both of them with us today. So let's just now the floor is theirs. I invite them to come in, kindly address us first.
Good morning, everyone from the mountains in Rio. We are really happy and honored to be here today on this very special day, especially for us, because we are musicians and we really appreciate this diversity. So it's very beautiful, and I thank you so much, Pooja, because it was a beautiful presentation. Thank you so much. And yes, we were last year, actually in February, we were in India. February, March. We spent like 1 month in India playing in many towns, and also Jaipur Jazz Festival. And it was really special. And after that, we were going to Europe to play 1 more month of touring, but was not possible. So we went back to Brazil, and we had this beautiful relation with a Brazil embassy in India. So we spent all last year and also this year creating like projects, musical project with Indian artists and musicians. So it's always an honor for us being connected with India and with other cultures.
Wonderful, yes. And actually, we were very surprised in a good way to see the impact of our music in India. Also because it's not only the Brazilian music we were bringing, but Bianca's composition. So there was a very nice feedback from all audiences and organizers throughout India. So we were feeling really at home throughout the tour. And needless to say, we were looking forward to continue this collaboration as much as possible, which did happen once we got back here in Brazil. Hello.
So should I share the videos that, would you like to? Okay, first let me play the video and then you can talk about that.
Sure,
yeah?
sure. Mm-hmm.
deixa a gente mole. Quando se canta todo mundo bole. Quando se canta todo mundo bole. O samba da minha terra deixa a gente mole. Quando se canta todo mundo bole. Quando se canta todo mundo bole. Quando se canta todo mundo bole. Bole, bole. Quem não gosta de samba, o sujeito não é. É ruim da cabeça, ou doente do pé. Eu nasci com o samba, e do samba me criei. E do danado do samba nunca me separei. O samba da minha terra deixa a gente mal. Quando se canta todo mundo bole. Quando se canta todo mundo bole. E o samba da minha terra deixa a gente mal. Quando se canta todo mundo bole. Quando se canta todo mundo bole. E o samba da minha terra deixa a gente. Quando se canta todo mundo bole. Quando se canta todo mundo bole. Quando se canta todo mundo bole. O samba da minha terra deixa a gente. Quando se canta todo mundo bole. Quando se canta todo mundo bole. Quando se canta todo mundo bole.
Wow, that was lovely. Would you like to share something about what inspired, what was the inspiration, what is it all about? Do you want to share something about that with us?
Yes, of course, Pooja. In reality, it was an idea between the Embassy of Brazil in India and the Embassy of Italy in India. So they had, it was this year, last year and this year. So they decided to bring like 3 groups from India, from Brazil and from Italy. So each group was like choosing a very typical Brazilian or Italian or Indian song. And this one in Brazil is very known. It's from Bahia. Dorival Caymmi is a very famous composer here in Brazil. And the name is Samba da Minha Terra. Samba is a rhythm, very known Brazilian rhythm around the world.
Samba from my land.
Yes,
Yeah.
Samba from my land, yes. So we decided to do a different arrangement, to have like all the different aspects of music in India and Italy and Brazil. So it was beautiful for us.
No, it's really beautiful. It sounds so well. I mean, and it's all the different musical instruments and, your voice. And of course, I think they just gelled so well. It's really sounded well. So we have another composition by Bianca and Giulio. Lovely. And do you have some stories to share about this? Anything interesting that you want to share?
Sure. This was part of a wonderful collaboration called the Sangam series between the Brazilian Embassy in Delhi and the Global Music Institute, and of course ourselves. So we decided it will be great to have different Indian musicians within different genres or styles to collaborate with our music. So this one was Varijashri Venugopal. She's from Bengaluru, South India. And this arrangement is from Bianca, and we were amazed at how easily and naturally she picked up the composition and made it her own. So you would hardly imagine that she wasn't involved from the beginning. So we really loved her rendition. And of course, Bianca can tell you some more about Varijashri.
No, Vajrashri, well, not only Vajrashri, but especially Vajrashri was studying Western music. So I already knew that she has like this, I don't know with Brazilian music, but she's jazzy, like jazzy tune also. So it was beautiful to do with her. And also it's important to tell that I think, of course, the pandemic is like terrible for everyone, but as we are not traveling, as we're not playing outside, also it's possible to have time, you know, to do those projects. So it was beautiful to think, and also we are continuing to think, to manage and to join with other musicians around the world. So it's beautiful to have this possibility also, and to show the musicality of India for Brazil also, and to continue to have hope, you know, because art is always a chain of hope and happiness and love. So it's beautiful to do that.
So true, so true. Beautiful. And we have a last composition. Lovely. So thank you so much. I think this was really beautiful, you know. I mean, thanks for sharing the videos with us. And I really hope that we're able to, you know, continue with this. And I mean, I'm really excited to do, you know, projects with you and, you know, do something more interesting where we could collaborate on a similar
It'll be a pleasure.
It'll be my honor really to, you know, do something more interesting with you. This was really good. I really enjoyed, you know, all three compositions, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It was really a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much. Thank you. So that was Bianca and Giulio with us, and I think all of us really enjoyed the three compositions that they shared with us, and see what the pandemic is doing to us. We're able to collaborate and come up with such interesting projects also. So looking at the positive side of it really. That's about it really. We're at the end of the event, and thank you so much to Ms. Isabel from the UNESCO Office Brazil for joining us today. We're really honored, and of course this was our first collaboration with the UNESCO office, and we hope that, you know, we're able to continue with this. Thanks to Honorable Ambassador of India to Brazil, Mr. Suresh Reddy, for taking out time and joining us today. Special thanks to Council General Mr. Amit Kumar Mishra for guiding us and helping us, you know, steer through these events. He's the one who's really guiding us through this. So I think it's under his leadership that we've been able to, you know, come up with these events and these projects. And thanks to our participants who are watching us today and taking out time. And the event stays recorded on our Facebook and YouTube channel, and it can be viewed anytime. Thank you so much, everyone, and stay safe, stay at home, take care of yourself and your dear ones, and we hope to get back to normal activities soon. Till then, take care.